Hey folks, welcome back to FreepCast. My name is Rob Murray. I'm your host. I'm here with managing editor Joe Spear. Joe, have you been by Mankato West High School lately?
Yeah, I drive by it every day, but it looks like it's being destroyed.
Looks like a war zone over there.
A war zone, and I guess I didn't realize they were going to tear it up so much. I mean, it's going to be ready. Ethan told me, the reporter, kids are going to go back there this fall, right?
That's what they say. It doesn't.
I haven't heard that it's behind schedule or not. It looks like a lot of rubble.
I'll be amazed if comes first day of classes and there's kids.
Well, maybe it's part of
not walking through rubble.
They've got the logistics figured out. Well, what do they have? Because they're going to start early too, right? August 25th or something like that. So that's 6 weeks away. So maybe they'll, construction guys can do stuff a lot of fast quickly.
Maybe they'll impress us.
I guess it'll be an interesting.
Yeah.
It's certainly got everybody talking. It's all over Facebook and what are they doing?
It's kind of one more thing that is kind of changing the face of Mankato, with including downtown with the demolition of the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, there's a lot of construction.
That still looks crazy down there.
There is a lot of block being moved and rubble being moved and truckload by truckload, and but before we get too far into it, want to give our sponsor a shout out, Minnesota Valley Federal Credit Union. They're our podcast sponsoring this podcast and all the great journalism that goes with it and with the newspaper. Happily serving those who live, work, and do business in Blue Earth, Nicollet, LeSueur, Waseca, Brown, Whatwan County since 1934. So we thank them.
I would say one of our finest advertisers.
Yes. And, we mention other businesses in this podcast, so maybe if they're listening, they would jump in and want to be a sponsor at some time.
Happy to have you.
Yeah. But a lot of news, kind of a lot of news to talk about, wide variety of news. West is certainly getting people's attention. Had a good story and a sensitive story in today's paper about how the community of Amboy, small community, is dealing with the loss of one of their young people, firefighter, young man and his family. He died by suicide, and so happy they talked to us about that, because it's a really important topic for everybody to understand and to talk about, and understand why it's, some of things surrounding it, and not stigmatize things so much like you don't talk about them. So Renee Berg did a really nice, sensitive story, and we talked to a suicidologist. I don't know if I've ever heard that term before, but so they were able to explain what goes on, particularly with first responders and police and firefighters. They have a whole another set of circumstances that they have to think about every day, responding to the worst scenarios. And, in this case, a local farmer had died in an accident, and Andrew Carroll's, responded to it. And of course, it was the chief's father, I think. So everybody knows everybody in Amboy, small town. You've lived there.
I have.
It's
any small town. I think it would be difficult to be on the fire department or the first responders, because you're inevitably going to come to someone's house that you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've just got to be special to go into that line of work. I don't think I could do it. Just always your adrenaline would probably always be going, and you'd have to have some kind of mechanism to get yourself back in a place where you can kind of do normal things and continue your normal daily lives. But
the stakes are so high, and you probably are worried about making a mistake or
right. The stakes are very high.
Yeah.
All of that would be really daunting to me. But thanks for that community, and thanks for the folks who talked to us and furthering that issue for the larger public to see and understand and have empathy for, obviously.
And kudos to Renee. She did a nice job on that.
Yeah. Mankato City Council wants more security at their meetings.
Yes, they do.
They had a closed meeting last night about it because you don't want to, I guess, say what your security vulnerabilities are to the public. Hence, I guess the idea is you would give bad actors tips on how to be dangerous, how to threaten you and your people. Of course, this is a whole new conversation we have since the political assassination of former Speaker Hortman and her husband. It's certainly in public view now, and I think some of the reporting Mark did also said the council thought about it more when they had that crowd of people a couple weeks ago who were boisterous and wanted to talk about the AI surveillance system. You know, normally going to a public meeting and, raising your voices or, letting your elected representatives know how you feel about things would be par for the course. But I think we're in a whole different context now. So it'd be interesting to see what they come up with in terms of security, if there's going to be I guess there were 2 police officers that were called to that meeting. Someone told me. So when the people started being loud and such, so we better call and just have some officers here. You don't know what can happen, I guess.
Yeah, I get that anybody in a public office is going to be a little bit skittish now after what happened with Melissa Hortman and her husband. But when you throw in the idea that, and also there was this boisterous meeting and they don't feel safe, I don't know that, I'm not sure I feel good about saying that there was a boisterous meeting and therefore we don't feel safe. I mean, I wasn't there, but I don't think in any of our reporting it suggested that anybody was unsafe that day.
No.
It was just people speaking their mind.
And they had their placards, and I think they were, their cardboard placard pounding them maybe on their chair or on their knee or whatever.
And if there's safety issues we don't know about that they haven't told us, maybe there's a legitimate concern we just don't know about. But
and I think it's reasonable to let people have their say, by please come forward and tell us who you are and give us your point of view.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there was that, and so people were protesting that. I think one of the letters we got said, we couldn't even, all we had was their little 3-minute public comment period that you can have. So maybe you open it up more, and then you don't have to deal with the rebelliousness of the disorder or the, shouting and things that you can't, it's not the best way to communicate, I guess.
I get the time limit, though. I mean, I can see a situation where you've got 50 people there who want to talk for 20 minutes each, and then you won't get any business done that night.
Well, a good example of it, I think, is when they had they changed the smoking ordinance. There was a good number of people speaking on both sides of that, and I think they gave them 3 minutes each, whatever. It wasn't a lot, but it seemed to work out well, and they were there for a long time because a lot of people wanted to talk. We had doctors talking, we had health department people talking, we had teachers and educators and others. So if you go back to that example, I think it worked really well, and people were heard, and there was enough time for discussion, asking good questions. That's what the public discourse should really be all about, back and forth. What's the best idea?
Yeah.
So hopefully it will still be relatively open. They're talking about the state capitol too. Should there be metal detectors at the state capitol? If you ever go to the state capitol, it's wide open. I mean, wide open. There's, I last time I was there, I don't know if I even saw an officer anywhere. So maybe they got to rethink that. It's unfortunate that we've come to a point where 1 or 2 incidents have to change the whole mode of operation. But then I can see the other side. You don't know when they're going to happen, and they seem to be happening more frequently. So then you go.
Well, one guy put a bomb in his shoe, and everybody has to take their shoes off when they want to get onto an airplane.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's a challenge for civil discourse. We still want democracy. We still want people to have their say. That's the way our system works best. Shutting people down, shutting people off, it doesn't work well. So I think a fun story was there was a 95-team softball tournament in town this past weekend. The Peppers and other teams from all over filled up hotels to Shakopee and over at Owatonna, and all spend money, and estimated $1 million probably was spent this weekend. And then it was nice to see the local team won the tourney. I think the 18U Peppers won.
Rigged.
For the first time.
It was rigged.
For the first time. Hey, they're not.
We were at Nola Bell last weekend, and in comes a bunch of softball players.
I was there too. I saw the
I'm like,
softball.
what? Well, the places you're gonna go to this. Well, maybe with that many teams, maybe everybody else was full.
Yeah, B-Dubs was full. I know we talked to the B-Dub manager, and she said they get 10 teams at a time, and yeah, I mean, it's crazy. So something we'll be watching a lot more. It's, it's kind of slow in the summer for sports, but that's kind of a cool thing. And I know Owen, our intern, did that story. Nice job on that. And he's going to follow up on a pro men's fast pitch softball tournament that's coming here. National tournament, I think.
Owen also did the nice piece on the old-time vintage baseball.
Yep. Always fun to see that.
He did a good job on that.
Yep. I don't think I would have liked playing there's no gloves, you know, and it just looks like a lot of hard balls thrown around. So, not sure I'm going to
A lot of running.
That's another thing you have to be careful of. Cool thing happening this weekend, Blues on Belgrade. Some great blues acts. I have a friend who is a blues aficionado, and I want to read what Pete says, my friend Pete. He says, the last 3 acts are top-notch. Kent Burnside, straight out of the Mississippi Hill Country, but with a different take than his grandpa R.L. He's a real treat. And Zito, guy named Zito, is good as well. That's this Saturday. Looks like Echo's Big Band 2 to 3, Mark Cameron 3:30, 4:30, Murphy Brothers 5 to 6. Then we get to the Blues 6:30, 7:30, Dylan Salfer 8 to 9, Kent Burnside, and 9:30 to 11, Mike Zito. So a lot of people, they get a good crowd for that, and it's usually as hot as late July can be. But I've been to it a few times. How about you?
It's probably one of the biggest of the various events they put on in the Belgrade Avenue Association.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest one they do. Great event.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it when I've gone to it. We had a lot of local stories on the big, beautiful bill that passed and was signed by the president July 4th. We have had some stories about some immediate cuts to school summer programs, and schools are talking to us about that. And that's up in the air yet, I guess. The money's being withheld, so if they want to continue the program, they got to come up with their own money. And it might be released later. Who knows? Nobody really knows. Medicaid, of course, looks like it's going to be cut, but maybe people won't see it as much because it doesn't take effect till 2026, they say.
Right. I think that was a strategic move.
Yeah, for after the election. Right. But a lot of state programs still cut back, won't have the spending. And it's interesting because I don't think we've ever seen this where it's kind of allocating spending by presidential edict. He issues an executive order, and we'll see if it goes, how far it goes. We've never tried that before. It's always been Congress, you approve it, here's the money, dole it out. So this is something new that's being tried, and the courts are going to have their say. And, of course, you can claw back money, too, and that's going through Congress. That has to be you've already allocated it, we want some of it back. And that's moving forward. So it'll be a new era, I tell you. I think it's going to be an interesting next 1 or 2 years to see how this all shakes out. But so much federal money goes to states, and then state money goes to counties. I think we had one story where Blue Earth County Commissioner Kevin Pate was quoted in public radio story about property tax levy in Blue Earth County could go up 4 or 5% if you have to make up all the SNAP cuts and everything else. So I guess you'll be at the local level, you'll be able to control it or have something to say about it. But like, I don't feel like most people could, if you asked them, hey, does Congress do what you want it to do, or does Congress, can you influence Congress? I would think most people would go like, no. It's so insulated. Everybody's got their own firewalls, and they do what they want to do, and then they tell people how great it is. So it's a constant battle. I do like local level because I think you see that people participating more, like at the city council meeting, and maybe be able to influence your government at the local level.
Well, interesting as you say, yes, I think it's going to get ugly.
Yeah.
I think the next 2 years are going to be, people are going to just get really tired of all the negativity and the fighting. And
well, I was talking to one guy this morning golfing out, and he said, I just can barely read the news anymore because it's so chaotic, it's so distressing, it's so, what is the newest thing we've never heard of before in our democracy? What is going to be challenged next, I guess?
Yeah.
Congress, 3 branches, courts, Supreme Court. You look at the dissenting opinions now in the Supreme Court, and they're much more sharpened, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't want to say nasty because everybody is kind of nasty, but the Supreme Court seems to be really taking issue personally with the other side of the court who doesn't agree with them. You know, you've seen things like these justices are, allowing crimes to be committed against our country. You know, things like that. It gets pretty rough. So, what can you do?
I think that's what people are saying most. What the hell can we do about this? And
Yeah.
Not to get too political here, but a lot of shit going on right now that people don't like.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell people what to do. I mean, I usually say, support causes you believe in, protest. We got a lot of people protesting now, making their voice known, saying stuff isn't okay. They are thousands more calls to Congress than there ever have been. So good for you people who are doing that, reaching out. I don't know what you do next. And I can't imagine the number of lawyers and how you support this immigration efforts where people are, fighting for their lives just to get a court hearing. And there seem to be a lot of lawyers out there, and God bless them. Hopefully there's enough of them to challenge all the stuff that's going on. I heard an interesting story from someone who was at the Juneteenth event. They had it on. They were a pretty knowledgeable person about this kind of thing, so I believe them. But they believe they saw an ICE officer walking through the crowd, but very discreetly. Didn't have a uniform on or anything like that, but had an earpiece. And took the earpiece out for a while and then put it back in. So, when we had that story, I want to mention the fella from Mountain Lake reached out to us, and he was supporting immigrants who had been called into the ICE office, and he went with them. And one of them came back with him, and one of them didn't.
Yeah.
And courageous on his part to talk to us. Didn't want a picture, and I kind of understand that. Yep. So we're trying to track down all of these stories we can. I thought it was a worthwhile point of view. We couldn't get anybody else to talk to us really about it. And we're running into that more. And, even when Casey's out shooting photos of kids in schools and stuff like that, I think there's way more caution we were talking about and way more apprehension about, we don't really know if you want these kids in the paper or their photos or things like that. So a lot of things to think about there. One, maybe we'll just end it on a positive note. I've got a quote of the week here that's pretty cool. We had a story from, I think it was the AP, did a big story about how the eagle has been officially become the U.S. official bird. Never been that before. I thought, hey, really? I always thought it was the official U.S. bird, but some Minnesota Congress people proposed in Congress to make it official in Minnesota, and it was a lot related to the sacredness of the eagle coming from the Native American tribes, and how putting it now on an official pedestal gives it more attention, gives it more relevance. The eagle is a very important symbol to the Native American community, and this is a quote from Jim Thunderhawk. He's a Dakota Culture and Language Manager for the Prairie Island community. He says, "The eagle is finally getting the respect it deserves. Maybe when the nation looks at the eagle that way, maybe there will be less division." Worth thinking about.
Yeah, good luck with that, I guess. It would be nice.
He talks a little bit more about how his grandparents saw this thing, and this is from Sadie Erickson, who was a Ojibwe. My grandma told me that we honor eagles because they saved the Ojibwe people when the Creator wanted to turn on them. The eagle, he can fly high, so he went to speak with the Creator to make things right. We could all use an eagle like that.
I agree.
Thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next week.